being a man doesn't mean that you cannot have a deep, meaningful, caring relationship with another man. That's completely okay and acceptable. And it doesn't make you less of a person. It makes you more of a person.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to the For Regular People Only YouTube channel. I am Miles, and today you're going to get a chance to see a group discussion about parenting in 2025. Now, not only are we going to talk about some of the potential challenges and problems that come with parenting in this generation, but we're also going to talk about the solutions. So be sure to stay tuned to the very end. And if you find value in the content, think about liking the video and possibly subscribing to the channel. Anyway, without further ado, I hope you enjoy.
What are some unique challenges your child faces that others may not understand?
So I have a 9-month-old daughter. I'm a very new parent. Being able to talk to you guys, it'll be interesting. So my wife is Colombian. She grew up all her life in Colombia. So we have a very mixed culture household and everything. So little things, just like tooth fairy here in the US doesn't exist down in Colombia. It's Raton Perez. So she might go to school being like, oh, a little rat put money under my pillow, which might be a little weird for other kids. So I'm expecting that'll probably be a unique challenge as she gets older. But yeah, interested to see where it takes us.
My youngest is autistic. We struggled so much when he was a kiddo. I mean, he didn't understand how to control his emotions, didn't understand his emotions. He would lash out, and he is incredibly smart. So it's happened in daycare, and then started happening in kindergarten and then first grade when he found out that all he had to do was hit somebody. If he hit someone or hit an adult, they would send him home. He was like, I don't want to be here, so. And so that was a struggle. We were eventually able to get a SAT team meeting set up for him, and it was very difficult. The principal did not want to do one, which is like basically you set up a system where we're going to talk about, is your child having specific issues? We should do an investigation, collect some data, and then now he has an IEP. And now he is on an SSRI, which I think is incredibly important because he's determined that he has like legitimate serious anxiety. He also has been diagnosed with ADHD, so he takes ADHD medication once a day, not on the weekends because we need him to gain some weight. But then having adults around him who make him feel like he's valuable, that's one of the biggest struggles because he had adults for so long who just like, this kid's a problem. We don't want him here. We want to find a way to push him out. And that's one of the things that's tough is having adults who don't understand that, your children have issues that can be dealt with if they just, will hop on the bandwagon.
Excuse me. My children are twins, and I think people don't think like being a twin is the issue, but I think it can definitely be an issue because they're always getting them confused. Are they identical? They are identical twins, wow. And they do look just alike. So I do think that it could be an issue. I try my best to let them know they have different personalities. I let people know they are different people, they have different voices, and I want them to be different. Like I want them to be unique and be their own personality. I always tell them, hey, you don't have to do what your brother likes to do. They are going to struggle with the idea that they always are running in twos. So like they are in track together and they get called twin. People don't realize that they don't even refer them by their own name. They just call them twin all the time. And they have to just think that you talking to them. You could be talking to the other brother, but they have to look at you to make sure like when you say twin that you're referring to them. And I think that's like I don't know because I'm not a twin and I'm not an identical twin either. And I don't have a twin brother. So I think it's a unique challenge that I never thought about when I was pregnant with them. But as they got older, I'm like, this might be something that y'all get annoyed with of being a twin. Right now you love your brother, but some days you get tired of your brother. You get tired of being a twin.
The idea, identity formation is what I'm thinking about. Constantly like being considered that you're like the same person because you look the same.
Yes.
I mean, I wonder how much of a struggle that would be. I don't know. I mean, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So I never thought of it, but now I look at them a lot, especially like I said, they on the same sports team a lot of times. The only good thing is in school, they're not in the same class, but they have the same friend group. And one of my children, The oldest twin he doesn't have a big personality. So a lot of his friends is his brother friends. And I've been trying to get him to create his own friend group so that he don't have to feel like he has to follow his brother around.
Awesome. I always wanted a twin, but didn't get a chance to have one.
I'm sorry
I don't know why, but I always wanted to. So my youngest, and I'll start with him, he was born a year before we locked down for COVID. So for 2.5, 3 years, all he knew was mom, dad, older brother that's almost 6 years older. So some of the things you expressed, just about feeling like, who are these people? Like a lot of anxiety. Dylan now, as he's gotten older, he does not like to be around crowds, right? My wife and I weren't able to socialize him in community like we did our oldest. So for his first 3 years, like we weren't going out to eat anywhere, right? He wasn't going to the park to see people with smiles. He was seeing people with masks on, so he couldn't kind of identify, are they happy or are they sad? Mm-hmm. So now a lot of what we're experiencing with him sometimes, very smart, but doesn't like crowds. The emotions are very strong. He has a lot of emotions all the time. And even when hey, let's talk about our feelings, he doesn't want to talk about it. He just wants to move on, or he wants to hit, or he wants to stomp his feet. And he doesn't want to try to even talk or express himself to us. So sometimes we have to really take our time to, okay, let's breathe. We try to do, both of our sons, a lot of breathing techniques. Yeah. But sometimes he doesn't like to breathe. He's like, I don't want to do this. When he goes to school, he doesn't necessarily get in trouble, but the teacher has sometimes said he isolates himself, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's just a portion of not being at home or what COVID made him go through, but because he was so close and always with his older brother is like your twins. Like he would not want to do anything without his brother. Whatever, if his brother goes to the bathroom, outside, he's like, where's Asher doing? What's he doing? I got to go follow him. And trying to get him to be a little more independent, but it's good. I want him to love his brother, but to try to establish his own voice. But we won't know for the next 5 years what the effects of COVID and that isolation have done to this generation of kids his age. But I can just see different signs of, okay, how can I psychologically, and my wife and I, really connect with him?
What frightens you about parenting kids of this generation?
Cell phones.
Accessibility to online. I grew up in 93. I was born in 93. So the internet, when I think in middle school, we had AIM, which was AOL Instant Messenger, but it wasn't to your fingertips. So you had to wait till you get home and you could talk, to your friends for a little while, but you also wanted to talk to your friends on the phone. You also wanted to see your friends. I grew up in a neighborhood in middle school where all my friends lived on another block. And so we would all walk to meet each other, call each other, meet me at this. And then we would walk till we got there. I feel like with my children, they don't have that just because of housing in Nashville is totally different. They don't grow up in the neighborhood with their friends. It's maybe a few kids they know that went to school with them, but they don't necessarily grow up. They didn't grow up the same as they're not growing up the same as I grew up. I grew up in a community, and I feel like my kids are not growing up in a community, but they have access to everything online that kind of make it like an online community because you got Roblox. So you got your friends on Roblox and you can FaceTime them, which is totally different. But don't like the idea of them having a phone at 8 or 9. I tell them all the time, I didn't get my first phone until I was in middle school. And I only got a phone because my mom was a single parent and I was going home by myself and going to different things, different activities. So she wanted it for a safety reason. I don't think it's a safety reason right now. I tell my kids all the time, you just want a phone because you want to play a game.
I mean, it's accessibility to everything. The people outside having accessibility to my child.
Yes, exactly.
That's terrifying.
There are few things are scarier.
Yeah.
It's so easy to. Children are gullible just because they're gullible. Yeah. I mean, because their frontal lobe is not fully developed. They don't have good problem solving. They're not going to recognize when someone has nefarious intent or when someone is a predator. I myself am a survivor. And so with that, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm terrified because it's so impossible for a child to recognize that someone who you think is just being a nice person has, really bad intents. And now it's so easy to impersonate another child or to impersonate someone that you know. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that really scares me.
Man, and I'm piggyback off of your comment. As a person born or who graduated high school in '97, we had a beeper, right? So a cell phone. I don't think I got a cell phone, a flip phone, till like 2-3 years later in college. What scares me the most is I don't believe these kids are understanding or coming from community. And I think by community, being in space with each other. There's too many reports, there's too many studies right now that talk about this generation particularly is the most isolated, the most depressed generation. And it's because we don't allow for that space to go outside, to be in community with other people, to go and learn and laugh with each other in person. A lot of things have transitioned to the online space. And while I understand the advances in technology, I also see the negative in that as well. And a lot of the fear that I have is that the adults have made the environment such as this. Unfortunately, many of us as adults are fearful of the world out there. So some of us, just like, rightfully so, my mother was like, hey, I want you to make certain that you do well, you graduate, you improve your stance. And for a lot of African-American people, to improve your stance in life was to get out the hood, right? Do better. So as we have economically matriculated up, we have left the community, right? So now me and my family, we live on a cul-de-sac, nice, quiet neighborhood, but everybody is older. There may be one group of kids down the way that they go to school with, they see each other. My family in the neighborhood, I grew up in Knoxville. My grandmother lived down the street. My aunts lived about 2 miles away. Literally, every kid in my neighborhood, mom, dad, uncle, went to school with somebody that my family knew. So it was no problem. Saturday mornings, we hit the concrete at 10, came back for some water in the hose, some food, and was out till the street light came on. Now, when mama said street light, it was time to get back.
Appropriate discipline for children?
I don't really know. My wife and I are really having tough conversations about that right now, right? We don't necessarily, believe in spanking. Our oldest, again, different. Our oldest, I can get stern dad, and he's like, that's good. I don't want that smoke, right? My wife the same way. The youngest, I'm telling you, it's like, how do you jostle between, okay, I know that the research is saying spanking, it's not necessarily working, but how do we make certain other than go sit down or you on a punishment? He's like, yeah, okay, this is good. What time is up? I'm going back to do my thing. So, growing up in an era where it was spanking and it was because I said so, go pick the switch, not wanting to do that to my child, but my wife and I are trying to figure out now what that looks like. We have different rules that we have to write up on the wall with different boards. Don't say these words. If you say these words, this happens. Letting out your frustration, breathing is okay. Hitting, stomping is not okay, right? But we're trying to figure it out. The thing that for any parent, you, your spouse, if you're a single parent, you have to come to agreement about what that looks like. Sit down with the kids to have a conversation about these are the expectations, and this is what we're going to hold you to, and this is what you have to hold us to.
I like to think of myself as a good parent, but I will tell you without reservation, the only reason why I think I'm effective is because of my youngest child, because he wore us out and we didn't know what to do. I mean, we struggled. We tried this, we tried that, we tried the award board. We kept getting stamps for, and then we would say, well, if you come home and if you get home from school or from daycare, then you don't get this thing. But then he's like 4 years old, and that doesn't matter. By the time he comes home, whatever happened, that happened in the moment. And now it's like, the same way that they tell you if you come home and your dog has done something, you can't punish the dog when you come home, because then the dog is afraid of you coming home. And that's the fear. It doesn't work. Yeah. And so this was learning from therapists. Learning from his therapist was, we don't punish our children. We don't. And it's not that they get to run roughshod. It is that what we have learned is, and this is because of just a great partnership with my wife more than anything else, because we will get frustrated, and then I will hear, I gotta tag out, and then I will come in, and I'm not there yet. Like I'm fresh, and I'm like, hey, what's up, my man? And we can have a conversation. See, we're not gonna do that. Like that's not what we're gonna do. And so I'm fresh, feeling that, and I'm not gonna raise my voice with Emerson, because he is autistic. As soon as I raise my voice, that fight or flight clicks up, and now he is ready to lash out. And the way we prevent it from happening is let him feel like he's always safe, and say, hey, bud, you can't do that, and you know why you can't do that. Let's make sure you don't do that. We start recognizing what his tells are, so we can try and figure out if something's coming up, we can try and head it off before anything happens. It's not me, it's not my wife. It is learning from professional therapists how to interact with him more effectively, and that has had an amazing impact on my other 2 children.
I don't believe in whoopings, actually.
Same.
I didn't really get whoopings. I'll make jokes and say maybe that's why I act the way I act, because I didn't really get whoopings that much. But honestly, and so when I can base fear on my kids by just telling them, hey, you got in trouble, I'm finna call your dad. And that there would strike the nerve to or if because they're boys and I'm teaching them to not raise their voice at me when they get upset, I always tell them do you think your dad will let you talk to me like that? And it always calms them down. So I do agree to get the parenting together, both parents to understand what it looks like and having a plan together.
The biggest thing that I've learned though, because I grew up in a home with a single mom, me and my brother, and what we're doing with our boys, and this is all my wife's doing, right? She's like, hey, no matter what punishment, if it's no tablet, no TV, go to bed or whatnot, at the end of the night, go back in there, have a conversation, and then hug it out.
Yeah.
Go and hug them, kiss them. Even in the moment, sometimes when my youngest is frustrated and she's always like, go hug, he needs a hug. And sometimes she'll ask him, do you want a hug right now? After he's frustrated and crying and been disciplined, do you want a hug? And he's like, yes, I want a hug. So as a person that didn't always get this, specifically as a man, a black male, I got to be emotional. And sometimes men are like, no, he needs stern discipline. But my wife is like, you can do it both, but give him a hug. He may need a hug right now. And I've seen that kind of open up doors, for conversation after he's been disciplined.
Like, you did something wrong, I still love you. That's what it is, man. Yeah. Are we over prioritizing kids' happiness at the expense of resilience?
For my 9-month-old, yes. I mean, yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, you definitely see it sometimes. There's immediate gratification with a lot of stuff. I mean, we were talking about different punishments and things, taking things away. So that can strengthen resilience, I suppose, as well. But it's an interesting thing to think about.
So I think about this. I have a good friend. She teaches with me at Central. She's a brilliant math teacher. She's getting her PhD in math at MTSU right now. And we were having this conversation. Did you know that children who learn math in Japan are going to spend about 20% of their time actually doing active learning in a math class, and 80% of the time is going to be struggling with math problems? Whereas here in the United States, we're going to flip that. And 80% is going to be straight instruction, and 20% is going to be struggle. And when she
the order's flipped too, isn't it?
I mean, it's the goal.
Or we teach somebody how to do it before letting them struggle with it. No?
If you teach someone, because my perception of this as an educator, my perception is math is not about learning about math. Math is about teaching you how to think. Yes, I mean that's what it is.
That is what it's supposed to be.
Yes. And math is a great way to teach resilience, because you should struggle. You should just be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, let me. That doesn't work, and it's problem solving. That's what it is. It's problem solving. But I feel like all classes should be built this way, where it's all about, I'm teaching you how to make your brain work. I'm not teaching you what to know. I'm teaching you how to go out and find out what you need to know, how to effectively learn. Because when they graduate from high school or college, they are not done learning. They're going to learn for the rest of their lives. And we got to teach them how to do that effectively. And that is where resilience comes in.
I definitely agree with that because I was thinking in my head when the question came up, it's like happiness wasn't a big thing, especially growing up in a Black household, because it was like, it's a joke where he's like, you depressed? Well, depress some dishes. Like, like, you know, you didn't grow, like, you not happy. You ain't got to pay bills. You see all these things I'm struggling with. And I always remind myself, like, the twins also have struggles too. I might not be able to identify what the struggles is at this very moment, but I have the right to let them identify and let me know what the struggles is. I can't just say, well, get over it. Because that's kind of how I was raised, to just get over it. You had a bad day, get over it. A new day will come. You got way more things to worry about when you get older. And it's like, yeah, we all got more things to worry about when we get older. So I do want to make sure that my kids always are happy so they can become happy adults.
What qualities do you feel are important for parents to have in this generation?
I think that's a really cool question. I think it's a huge quality of discernment, just being able to tell what's good and what's bad. Being an instructional designer, we think about open AI and tools like that a lot. Mm-hmm. So yeah, AI can be great sometimes, but it can also be really bad. And as you guys are both in the teaching space as well, you don't want your kids to just stick something in ChatGPT, all right? At the same time, I'm like, as an instructional designer, I'm like, what do they really need to be able to do later? And part of that is use ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there's early learning that has to happen. So that, as an example, I think there's a lot of tools that are coming in. I think it was either brought up earlier, like one of you said that like the world 10 years from now is going to be different. Those jobs don't exist. So being able to tell what these tools are and like what's good, what's bad, and what the balance is, I think is huge in today's generation just because we're getting new stuff so fast.
I've also, though, used ChatGPT and other prompts to like help navigate. I want to create my son a workout plan for track. Mm-hmm. Yes. Boom. I wanted to have my son his summer reading plan. I also want to incorporate some social studies lessons that focus on Black history, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Like I've used the tool to help me set up things that can help him and help his younger brother do certain things. So I'm a believer. At first I was like, no, ChatGPT, I'm going to use my own mind, right? But somebody was like, you've had Google for the last 20 years. You've been using some form of generative AI for the last 20 years. Use it to your advantage. Make sure it works well and it's in your voice. But like I use that to my advantage as well.
Yeah. I mean, from my personal experience with my children, when it comes to like the most important trait to have as a parent is being open-minded, mm-hmm. being as understanding as possible, being kind. What you brought up, you know, with your wife making the comment, like when you get upset with your children, and sometimes you're going to raise your voice and it's hard not to, mm-hmm. but then coming back and giving them a hug and saying, I mean, even though you messed up, you have to understand, I love you and I love you no matter what. Being able to be openly emotional with your children and let them know that's okay. Now, there's a space where you can be openly emotional, a space where you probably shouldn't be openly emotional. But if we're here in this space, in our home, then you can be as openly emotional as you need to be. And just know that there's nothing you can do that's going to make me not care about and not love you, even if I'm upset with you for something.
Man, I think, and my wife would say, honestly, like I'm still working on this with myself, being able to say, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Being able to say, I was wrong, mm-hmm. right? To the kids, to her, right? And navigating that world. And
how much power you get when you learn to say that, though.
And to like really work on, parents have to work on communication skills.
Yes.
And it is something that I would tell educators I work with, you have to be a consistent learner, right? Mm-hmm. You have books online, there are all these things you can learn from, but it becomes real when you have to try to apply it. But keep learning, right? Mm-hmm. There is no manual. Love my mama to death. She made, hey, this is what you need to do. She didn't leave me a manual. She was like, that's y'all's, figure it out. And I'm like, well, hold up, where is the figure it out, right? So being able to understand there's power in the pivot, If you have to pivot sometimes, but like being a consistent learner, don't feel like, man, I'm doing this wrong. One of the things, because I didn't grow up with a father in the house, and again, love that I'm with a woman that understands me and can help me build through my stuff, was like, remember, you're in the house with your two boys. You love them to death. You didn't have that. So don't feel like you have to overcompensate parenting to the two boys because your father wasn't in the home with you. Think about the weight that puts on your older son, where you're like, son, you gotta be, and I'm here in your life and I love, breathe a little bit with them, right? At the end of the day, I want both of my sons more than anything. If there was anything in life, God said, what can I give you? I want to be 80 years old. And my sons, we just sitting down, watching the game, just talking, and they feel comfortable, safe to come and have conversation with their dad and spend time with their dad and talk. So I got to understand them, and I have to build that relationship and that trust for them to be able to talk to me like that.
For me, I think grace is one big thing because it's the experience. I'm still learning. They're still learning. I'm going to keep getting older. They're going to keep getting older. And that's something I actually live by as my own, is giving myself grace. But in parenthood, I have gave myself a lot of grace. I remember when I was in grad school, and I was like, I'm in grad school, I'm working 2 jobs. The twins have to go to their dad's house on the weekends. During the week, I'm doing all of this. And I was like, start having mom guilt so much. And one of my friends was like, you're not going to be in grad school forever. Just forgive yourself. Like, give yourself some grace. Like, you're doing this. It's the reason why you're in grad school. It's the reason why you're doing this. And so that's something I have learned, is to give myself grace and to give the twins grace as well. Give them both grace because they are learning. They're only 8. I don't expect them to be 18 right now. I have a mind thought of that. And also something I didn't grow up was affection. I didn't grow up in a lot of affection in the house. We didn't grow up like, it was one of them things like, I knew my mom loved me, but like she didn't say it often. She didn't give me hugs often. I love the fact when you say you discipline, you know, want to give some type of affection, because I do the same. And because I am raising 2 black men, I always seem to give them hugs. I don't feel like hugging them is too much. Like, people like, don't make them too soft. I remember somebody told them make them too soft. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, how am I making them too soft because I'm giving them a hug? So, and I want them to always be able to give me affection, but also give each other affection. When they mean to each other, they hit each other, I'm like, all right, we'll hug each other. You know, you see them 2 kids in a big t-shirt together. I did that before.
Oh, yeah.
But I want them to learn, like, you can be mad at your brother, but he's still your brother. Let's give him a hug. You can be mad. You want to grow up and be mad at your friends. You're going to be mad at me, but let's hug it out afterwards. So that's something I've been definitely working on, is giving myself grace and showing them both affection and making sure they are giving each other affection.
But I mean, go ahead. There you go.
No, I love what you're saying about grace, and also what you said about like just being willing to say sorry and everything.
Yeah.
Like to this day, I'm terrified of failing. Like, failure is hard for me, and I think part of that is just because I never learned how to fail, or that failure was okay.
Yeah.
So like saying sorry, in my opinion, is a way of saying it's okay to fail. It's okay to make a mistake. I'm not saying you're a failure, of course, but to be able to say, yeah, it is okay to make a mistake. It is okay to fail, and that's part of growing. Because I think that's a huge life skill that your kids will have later on. They'll go, well, my dad made mistakes all the time, and that's okay.